Hello, everybody. My name is Dina Evers, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for our webcast, How Salesforce Service Cloud has helped La Cité College increase student conversion rates. I will be turning over the webcast to our first speaker in just a few moments, but first we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. We will be muting all participants today on the call, but you do have the ability to ask questions using the question pane located in the bottom of your control panel. If we do have time at the end of the presentation, we'll address as many of these questions as we can. Feel free to put them in throughout the presentation. If we are unable to get to your question, we'll be sure to have somebody follow up with you. Both the slides and the recording from today's webcast will be available to you off of our website after the event. And if you do have any questions or concerns, we are here and happy to help, so please feel free to send us a message. We do have a lot of great speakers today, including Chris Chantler, Director of our Canadian Sales Team for Wave 6. We have Jamey Prince from Salesforce Higher Education Group of Canada. And our special guest today is Stéphane Côté, Director, Office of Administrations and Registrar for La Cité College. Again, if you have any questions during the event, please feel free to put them in over on the chat or question box. And welcome again, everybody. And I'll now turn it over to you, Chris.
All right, thanks, Dina. Hi, everybody. This is Chris Chantler from Wave 6. And I'm sitting here actually across the table with Stéphane Côté.
Nice to meet you.
And yeah, what we wanted to do was go through a little presentation on the success we've had at La Cité and helping the registrar's office increase their student conversion rates of those students who've applied and actually then enrolled in La Cité's programs. So you saw the agenda. We're going to go through first a little bit about La Cité. So La Cité College is a French language college located in Ottawa. We've got about over 90 programs and 5,000 full-time students and 6,000 part-time students. And like most schools today, they're offering all their courses in class, but they also have a fully online environment that they need to support and a hybrid model. And obviously that actually ends up having a little bit of support issues at Stéphane's desk here that he has to address.
Oh, yes.
And one of the interesting things for those of you at state colleges and so on is they're a publicly funded institution here at La Cité. This is just a little slide about La Cité by the numbers. And Stéphane, is there anything you want to say?
About 800 professors. We have 140 programs if you count online and local programs. About roughly 2,000 graduate per year. So, and a satisfaction rate of 87.5% for employers.
You'll notice that a lot of the slides, and you'll see in the demo that we're going to do later, that a lot of the wording is in French. I'll try to provide English translation where possible. But I thought it was also interesting for some of you that are working in bilingual organizations.
Or in minority population.
Or in minority populations, to be able to see what Salesforce looks like in a French language. Specifically, I have some Southern clients that have Spanish requirements in their environment here. So I think that'll be interesting to you. So how did this project start off? Well, so we're working with, obviously, the Office of the Registrar, and we're working with admissions and student success as well. But the important piece here was how are they going to address the conversion rate, so getting those students to actually enroll. So some of the things that actually spawned this project were the declining demographics of potential student population in this region of Canada. So enrollment trends are down across the province, and this made the importance of applicant conversion ever more magnified. And one of Stéphane's goals was to improve the student experience by creating a more comprehensive view of student interactions. What that means is for his agents that are interfacing or interacting with the students to be able to give them enough information to be able to address questions the first time they're asked, not have to ask the same questions repeatedly as the student moves its way through the recruitment process into actually enrolling and paying their bills and getting their financial aid and so on. So what were some of the needs? They wanted to identify students that needed to follow up. They wanted to enable the staff and students to address their issues faster. So we're going to be showing you some of this as we go through. And we wanted to enable the staff to focus more time on students by automating manual tasks. And Stéphane's got a list of things that used to be done in Excel spreadsheets and manual email merges and so on that are now done automatically out of Salesforce. And it leads to a drastic reduction in time it takes to address students' issues. So what was the solution that we implemented here from Wave 6? Well, we integrated multiple tools. Well, sorry, I should move back here. With Stéphane, when we first started talking about 2 years ago, when they looked at how do I get this view of the student so that it passes seamlessly from person to person. And they had 4 or 5 different tools that each agent might access in a day. And integrating all of those was going to be too cumbersome. So that's where we started looking at what is the system we can consolidate those things on. Obviously, Salesforce was chosen. So they wanted a consolidated queue system with the ability to assign requests to a department. So depending on the nature of the request, the right person could be addressing it. We wanted to track student history from the first contact, meaning the first time they connected with somebody here on the campus to finally enrolling. They wanted to know what every step, every time that student has interacted with somebody at the college. And then they wanted to implement self-service with a knowledge base for common questions. And that wasn't just for students, but also for the staff to be able to get knowledge-based questions to help them answer questions more quickly. And Stéphane, is there anything you want to add to that before we move on?
That's perfect.
All right. So why did Stéphane choose Salesforce in Wave 6? So we'll go on to that. One thing just to note that La Cité was using Salesforce in various capacities, but they hadn't been using it in the registrar's office. So we needed to do an assessment of what was going on in the existing Salesforce environment. And they currently we're capturing student information, but not a complete history of the student, meaning that the stuff that was getting in from Stéphane's office was not getting into Salesforce environment. So that with multiple tools capturing student interactions, there was data all over the place, and they had a tool for walk-ins, they had a tool for text message inquiries, they had a tool for email, and a tool for phone. And Stéphane, if you wanted to address the immediate needs.
I wanted a place where all the interaction with the clients were logged in. So whatever, if it's a walk-in or phone or an email that was sent to the student, I wanted to be tracked by our system. So to ensure that my staff and monitor my staff would answer properly and the answer we provided to the client was actually accurate at that moment in time. So, the other aspect of it is create a consistency in our replies. Before we had implemented the solution, we had, depending on who was answering the email, the content of that email was different. So we wanted a knowledge article that would address those common questions from our clients.
And so what was it about Wave 6 that made you choose us?
The experience with PeopleSoft, because we are a PeopleSoft college, that's our SIS, and we wanted some strong partner that knows Salesforce and different aspects of Salesforce. We implemented Service Cloud here. Before we added, we added Sales Cloud. The ability to integrate multiple systems was also an important aspect. I want a full 360 view and one tool that does it all. And someone who also knows the private sector. It's fine to look at the higher ed sector, but sometimes in the private sector, there's some stuff that's being done in the private sector that's might be applied or should be applied to the publicly funded sector. So that's our main objective when we selected Wave 6.
Great. So we'll tell you why Wave 6 fit that bill. So this is a little slide just about who Wave 6 is. We have about 400 clients. We've been in business for over, well, it's actually should say over 6 years now. We've got about 60 staff on the consulting side of things, and over 600 completed projects, which means where you have multiple projects with the same client. And I think that's good news because the same people keep coming back to us for more work. And, you know, a lot of certifications and a high score. But one of the things that was interesting that, you know, I think Stéphane was also interested about, he talked about what could you bring from the private sector to us, meaning we want to see where we can take this tool and what are some things we can do. And Wave 6 is an innovative partner that way. And if you notice on this, we won an award for our implementation of Analytics Cloud, and we were one of the first companies to do it. And we won last year at Dreamforce award for our implementations of App Cloud. And, you know, so those are innovation awards that Wave 6, it shows that Wave 6 brings capacity to innovate in your environment. We're not just going to simply go and implement exactly what you're looking for. So on the higher ed side, some of the engagements we've done, I sort of picked some key sample universities and colleges where we've done different things. We've done analytics at the University of Oklahoma. Obviously, on the La Cité, we're doing student onboarding. The Illinois Institute of Technology, we're doing some communities for course registration, which is an innovative thing that I think everyone would be interested in. We've done really complete connected campus at St. Francis Xavier, from recruitment through to alumni donation management. We're working there. At the Queen's School of Business and Connected Campus, we've onboarded pretty much their whole business program from recruitment to career services to executive education and working with staff, all in the Salesforce environment. So what do our company do? Well, we just expand Salesforce implementations. We do platform development, analytics, communities, quote to cash, which we can bend towards the higher ed space, and that's again where that private sector piece comes from. And then we can optimize your Salesforce environment and then go on to manage them on afterwards, where you might find that you don't have administrators for your environment, or maybe not developers for your environment. We can provide those on a managed service type basis. All right, so next, that's a little bit about Wave 6. We're going to go on and just have Jamey here talk about why Salesforce and why Salesforce had an impact here.
Thanks, Chris. And again, Jamey Prince. I'm the account executive for the Salesforce.org, which is the nonprofit arm of Salesforce.com. And just to continue on, just talking a little bit about Stéphane was saying about looking at the Salesforce platform, and what you see right now is what we in the higher ed vertical at Salesforce we heard already talked about is the connected campus, and that's really looking at using Salesforce platforms, you know, looking at the recruiting and admission stage today, and moving into our student success and as well as advancement. And really what a connected campus does is it really connects your students and putting, you know, the student at the center of everything. A connected campus will help improve recruiting, ensure student success, help raise more funds, communicate more effectively, and build and foster a community of collaboration. And this is done by putting the student and a 360-degree view of the student and placing the student at the center of everything you do, and by leveraging mobile social technology and create those relationships. And this is what we've seen at La Cité. Like you mentioned, Stéphane was mentioning that we started with Sales Cloud. They look now into Service Cloud and changing into each one of these areas. If you click onto the second slide, Chris, just to give you an overview of all the areas, is the ability to have that single view of the student, and you can start looking at different things you're doing, obviously advising, looking at your enrollment management, the two areas that we'll be looking at today, career services, student apps, advancement, alumni, and using this platform in Salesforce. And this is why we're really excited to be working both with Wave 6 and La Cité to help with this connected campus overview and to show you today how the platform helped them envision in this image. I'll pass back over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Jamey. So we're going to get to the demo in just a minute, but we're going to walk through a couple of results that proved interesting. And this has only been in place for almost a year now, not quite yet, but we've already started to see some changes. Stéphane, do you want to talk to these? Or?
Okay. Yes. In Ontario, in Canada, Ontario, the province of Ontario, we have a student satisfaction survey that's done in the 24 college that the system is in. And for my part, since I implemented Service Cloud, I increased by 7% the student satisfaction. So I'm now ranked third in Ontario with a student satisfaction of 73% for the registrar aspect of it. And I also increased by 7% the student satisfaction for our financial aid that I will also manage here. And I'm now ranked #1 in Ontario amongst the 24 colleges. So that's a key differentiator for us. A truly remarkable result in the first year of implementation of the Service Cloud.
Good. Yeah, so that survey is done by the government, right?
It is done by the government.
Right. Yeah, so the next one.
On the student experience side, we reduce by the amount of walk-ins in the registrar office by almost over 3,000 visitors. So 9% less visitor at our front desk here by just gaining efficiency in our reply to the student and using our knowledge article. I'll show you that later on. And I lowered my wait time for walking by 11 minutes, so 36% improvement for those wait time. The reason why I did that is I lowered the mean service time by 14 minutes by using Service Cloud. So a great improvement, 44%. This was done using knowledge article, enabling my staff to address questions on the first contact. Whatever the channel the student's coming in, usually they typically send an email, and if I reply efficiently on that email, I don't see those walk-in coming in. So this is why we improve so much.
Yeah, I think that's pretty massive. So student experience is a big thing that everyone's trying to, provide a better service to their students. And if you're showing Service Cloud is giving them faster answers and more effective answers, it's no wonder that your satisfaction's gone up.
Exactly. Just to give you a little intro to our conversion rate. In the Ontario system, the Ontario college system, each applicant is able to select 5 programs in 3 different colleges. So he could apply to 2 programs at la Cité Collégiale and 3 other programs in the different competitors. So it's important so that I give an efficient answer and quick answer to each of those applicants to my college. Because as soon as they confirm they're coming at la Cité Collégiale, any other college that applicant applied to, that college receive a cancel from that applicant because he selected la Cité Collégiale. So it's truly important for us that conversion rate is as high as possible. Furthermore, as Chris mentioned earlier on, we're in a sector where the typical population is declining. So another factor to improve our conversion rate. So in fall of this year, the conversion rate increased for la Cité Collégiale at 69%. And the year before we were at 66.53%. And just so you look at it, the system conversion rate went down while we were going up. So that's a truly remarkable result in my point of view.
Right. So I said everyone's clear. When we say the system conversion rate, again, Stéphane was talking about this in Ontario in the college system. Every student has to apply through this centralized system tool no matter what college they want to apply to.
No matter what.
And so these numbers are coming from that system. These aren't, again, La Cité's numbers. So you see when the system trend is down, means across the colleges in Ontario, they're actually the conversion rates of the student who accepted an offer is actually dropping.
And that accepted offers in any college. So system-wise, no matter in which college that applicant indicated he's going, he's converted system-wide. But for la Cité Collégiale, if that applicant applied to different college, I might get, if my competitor get that file closed before I do, my conversion goes down, but it actually went up overall.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's jump into the demo.
Okay.
Let's show them how you're finding efficiencies for your staff. And
just so you're aware, we're in a right now, so the data is partial, and we just all email from going out in those sandbox. So, and it's dummy data as well. So I'll show you the main idea. This is the one example I want to show first, the conversion rate and how I improve the efficiency of my staff. This applicant actually selected 2 programs. Both in the technology sector for the semester, the winter semester, the winter intake. He's been accepted in both of them. And before we had implemented Salesforce, those 2 were going out in different files, different emails to the student, and those emails were done using a mail merge, using Excel, spreadsheet, and a Word file. Word document. So we were handling those files by hand and sending those emails every day. So we improve efficiency by letting Salesforce do all that work for us. I'll show you an example of the email that's going out for this student.
so what would also happen, I guess, is the emails might have gone out manually at separate times.
Yes.
Right? So the student may accept one course, but it might be as plan B.
It might be plan B. Nowadays, the email that's going out reflects the actual file, the actual application. So each of those program choices are now reflected on the email here. And as soon as there's an update of some sort in the student file, another email is going out without the knowledge of my staff, or it just goes out automatically. There's no manual labor to send those files anymore. So that's a great improvement. That let my staff do more important stuff that I'll show you, demonstrate later on. Want to add something, Chris, on this slide?
Like, how long would it have taken a staff to pull that letter together?
Typically, it takes half a day for one of my staff to send those emails every morning. So for half a day, that was done a manual extraction from our SIS in a spreadsheet, enormous spreadsheet, and doing that mail merge in our environment. And the resulting email that was going out was in plain text, which is atypical right now.
Right. Great.
So what did I do with the spare time of my staff? I'll show you something. These are lists that are live every hours. And so this typical list is the list that where my files, their student application is incomplete. There's something missing in their file that I need to address. They need to send me, for example, a transcript from their previous school. And this is always live. So I expect my staff within 7 days without activity that list will come empty. So this list is live every day, and it tells me there's no email that went out to those applicants, or there's no call from that applicant. There's nothing that we actually done to convert that student from an incomplete file to an offer. So I expect my staff at the end of each day that those lists are empty. So instead of sending email and forcing the system to do his work, I'm letting the system do the work for my staff and taking my staff, my resource that I save in efficiency, and let them call the student and let them getting that interaction, that human interaction going on with each of our applicants.
So this list updates every 7 days.
Sorry,
every day. And it's every 1 to 7 days without any interaction whatsoever.
Actually, more efficient than that. It's every minute it's being updated. As soon as there's an interaction in one of those applicants, is going to disappear from that list. So I don't waste my precious staff's time calling the same student twice, the same applicant twice. As soon as the interaction is logged in Salesforce, he's going to disappear from that list.
And previously, when your staff were spending their time doing the mail merges and the daily redundant or routine tasks, they're now freed up to start calling the students on this list who would typically have fallen through the cracks.
Exactly, and it gives you a more personalized interaction with a student. That's something I really like, and it clearly shows in our student satisfaction as well.
The other thing is, and just for everyone on the phone, I was sitting in the office with Stéphane last week walking through the demo, and we were walking through their live environment, and there was a 7 days without touch list, and there was a couple of names still on there. And what it does is, he says, well, I have to go make sure those guys get called.
Exactly.
But what it does is it allows the leadership of the team to see how their staff is functioning, how the group is functioning, and prioritize activities, right?
Exactly. It lets us know if there's issues, there are shorts where we short staff, or we should increase staffing depending on the period of when we are. Another cool aspect we did is that within the first 3 days a student applied to La Cité Collégiale, it's a business decision. We decided that within those 3 days, that student should have a human interaction by phone with one of my staff, my admission staff. So this is another list. Obviously, those number 2,000 or 2, but we're in sandbox, like I mentioned before. But I expect my staff that those lists are empty, like Chris mentioned. I expect my staff to call each of those applicants and do a first touch base with them. A more human interaction.
Right.
And another aspect I want to show is we created the views on different aspects of our operation.
Can I just talk about that screen for a second? Because before, you didn't, just read that list that you're putting down, all your lists.
Yes.
Like those you had to pull those together all the time.
In a spreadsheet.
You wanted to do a new call campaign, and you had to pull those lists together in a spreadsheet.
Yep.
And now they're just at your fingertips. So you click the button once, and your priorities for the day are set for your team.
In plain text, these are our funnel list. So it's typically student applicant are incomplete or missing a transcript of some sort, and then we send offers. These 3 lists are offers, and we wait for them to confirm that they're going to La Cité Collégiale. So this is our calling list. This particular list is related to applicant testing, and I expect my staff once again that specific list. Those applicant will be contacted and schedule testing in a supervised environment. And I have lists and lists, and they're always live. So I'm able to see at the end of the day, what did my staff do and what is missing for the next day, and plan accordingly or prioritize, like Chris mentioned. I'll show you. This example. This is another example. This is the full 360 view of that I was requesting for WaySafe to be done. So I get the full view of that student. All the interaction. This is the enrollment aspect. This is the admission aspect of it, and this is all the interaction I sent or received from that student. I'll give you an example. This is so to gain efficiency between my staff is when that email is going out, it's going out as soon as there's an update in a student app file. So from my recruiter, if we receive a call, the only thing they need to do is look at the latest email that was sent to the student, and they're now able, without analyzing the full applicant file, to know exactly what's missing in the in each of the program selection. In this case, that's a typical student. He's missing his visa status. I need a visa status to prove he's Canadian, and that's for each of their program application. He's missing the same thing. So my frontline desk, or the one who received the call, the one who received the email inquiry, is able to tell that student exactly what is missing from that file. That's a neat aspect for the application phase. But we also send the financial aid email through the same system. So in the exact same manner, the staff that is being analyzing the financial aid aspect for the same student send an email, and those email are logged in the 360 view of that student, and they're able to for anyone in my office is able to actually articulate what's missing in the financial aid files as well. So every email is logged in, or call is logged in Salesforce. So that's gives a 360 view of the student.
So what would have happened before is you would have had an Excel spreadsheet saying, here are the students that are missing a piece of their application or whatever. And then your agent would have had to spend time figuring out what that piece was because the systems weren't connected together.
It's exactly, but furthermore, it's not only any staff in my office. It was specialized, for example, for the financial aid aspect of it. We needed a specialized eye, so the client was bounced from my frontline desk to the financial agent, and to get that file answered, because this financial aid agent is the one who needed to analyze the file to get that proper answer sent back to the. So it was kind of a chaotic in the office in that sense, if I could do so. Nowadays, everyone in my office is able to do some basic to advanced inquiries, so we gain efficiency in that way.
Right.
Another aspect to that's nice to have is the knowledge article. So this is what we call cases. So when a student sends us an email, it's called a case. We created a case object. Case. And you see the little right panel here. That's the knowledge article. Based on the type of inquiry we receive, these articles are changed. So we got a bunch for that specific cases, and we created a way for my staff to answer those inquiries in a more consistent way. And I might add as well is that we're able to analyze the text and what's misinterpreted by our student and correct it for all the students. So we created article now, since it's been rolling for almost a year now. We improved the efficiency of what's written in that text, so that everyone, or most of our client, are able to answer to interpret what is written there in a fashion that's a more wide audience can understand what's required from him, or what's the next step in the inquiry. So that's a great improvement.
So I think that's an important one. When you talk about efficiencies of your staff. So a case came in, someone made a question via email, whatever, staff typed up, created a case for them on the walk-in, and then as fill in that information, knowledge articles that are related to what it is you asked for pop up.
Yes.
And then to create this screen that we're looking at, they just click the button.
Yes.
It says that's the knowledge article that applies, and it automatically fills the response email up.
Yes.
And whereas before, they would have had to go figure out the answer, and then write the actual answer into the email
Without misspell.
without spelling mistakes and so on. And then have that get cataloged into whatever system you were tracking that in as well.
Yes.
Whereas now that all happens in one button click.
That's it. Yes.
Right. And so that probably saves your staff how much time?
52% of service time.
Right. Yeah, so I think that's an important one. Like, there's finding that efficiency, then freeing up your staff to then handle the next question effectively.
Yeah. And by freeing up my staff and doing more efficient answer, we were able to do a more human interaction, like I mentioned with the list I've shown you previously. And that's been a truly remarkable in our student satisfaction for both financial aid and the registrar office.
Okay.
I think we're done with the demo aspect of it.
Okay.
Stéphane, thank you very much.
I'll just switch to Q&A.
So yeah, that was just a high-level walkthrough of what Stéphane's been doing, and we talked to some of the changes that have been made with eliminating or integrating multiple systems, then ends up speeding up their staff's time, freeing them up from doing things like writing emails and creating mail merges and so on, to now just clicking buttons, but more importantly, dialing the phone and speaking to the students directly, and having them do so and be able to be equipped with the knowledge that the staff need when connecting with that student right away. So now we want to go to if there's any questions, anything you'd like to expand on.
I might add something that's might be relevant for my partners, my international partners here. During our peak period, say for example for the September intake, I typically double my staff. Even if I do proper training with that new staff before implementing Service Cloud, I wasn't able to get that efficiency I had last fall and this fall. With Service Cloud, I train on those tools, and they told to use the knowledge article as often as possible, so that's speed up the training. And it's getting, even with contractual, I was able to have a lot of efficiency gain.
Perfect.
Okay, so again, if you have questions that you'd like to ask, feel free to put them into the question pane on your lower right-hand side. I do have a couple of questions that came through as you were doing your presentation. The first one is, the emails that are being sent out. Are they coming through Salesforce directly? Is it hooked into Outlook?
You actually can do both. We can receive them from Outlook, and with the Outlook plugin that's Salesforce provide, you can add them in the contact page of that client. But the email I showed you beforehand, it's coming out from Salesforce itself.
Perfect.
It's not hosted on our servers. It's the Salesforce email server.
Okay, great. And I think you had already mentioned this, but a question came in. What Salesforce systems did La Cité have before they kind of started on this project?
We had Sales Cloud beforehand, but since the registrar office is more a service-oriented department, we wanted that aspect in our office, so we switched to Service Cloud. And since then, I would say all the college switched to Service Cloud.
Okay, thank you. I just got another question in kind of related to Sales and Service Cloud, so I'll give you this one. Can you talk about the differences between Sales and Service Cloud? Can your users from Service Cloud see data from Sales Cloud, like the opportunity records or things of that nature?
Jamey, that's a good one for you. But at the end of the day, yes, you can. So the way things are, if an account was started off in the recruitment group in Sales Cloud, then that account stays active and it becomes just the account that's used by Service Cloud going forward. And yeah, so basically once that student's been, made their application, they've moved from the Sales Cloud environment to the Service Cloud environment. And it's just a smooth transition from there.
Yeah, the data in the database remains the same. It's just the functionality of the user. So the Service Cloud user has more of the agency side knowledge, live agent capabilities, where the Sales Cloud does not have some of that case management embedded into that user. But the data would be the same.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. Another question was, are you on Classic or Lightning Edition?
It's Classic Edition, but we customize the interface to suit the my frontline staff needs. So that's why you see the branding. It kind of looked like Lightning, but it's Classic. A different layout in Classic.
Yeah, I got fooled by that.
Another question. When you set up the knowledge pieces, did you preload any articles before you went live? And if you did do that, how did you develop those?
We typically know what's the inquiry from our client typically are. So we started with those. I think we started with the 40 articles just to get the ball rolling when we first launched Service Cloud. But since then, we added and added and added more and more and more. We added some, for example, to give a proper answer, we added for convocation. We typically have a convocation period, so we added a knowledge article related to do those, and so on.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to keep going here. How long did it take for the project? I have a length of project question mark. So how long did it take for this to be implemented?
I'm trying to think from the assessment, there's a couple of pauses in there. Yeah. I think we were at 6 months by the time we're done.
I think 6 months was the, but so I didn't have the budget to add some extra resources to do this project. So I have peak time, say the fall intake and the end of the semesters are peak times. So we added, like Chris mentioned, we added pause during that 6 month period. So.
Okay, thank you. What is the size of your internal team?
We are 23 full-time, but we're increasing at 56 in peak periods.
Okay. And I appreciate all the questions coming in. So any advice for somebody in your shoes? What do they need to do to, I guess, internally before they would engage with a partner? How do they get started?
You need a full engagement for your upper management to do this. Typically, a CRM is not something that's mission critical. But if you want a great client services and you want to do a different competition differentiator, a factor to it, you need to sell that to upper management. And then, if you have no clue in the Salesforce environment, hire yourself a great partner.
No.
Okay, great, thank you. I think that is all of the questions. I think we've gotten through everything that came in the question pane. If anybody has any additional questions, please feel free to submit those now. And obviously, Salesforce's largest conference, Dreamforce, is coming up in November. So that's another place you could potentially go to for questions or to learn about all of the latest and greatest from a solutions perspective, as well as they do have a higher education summit as well. Okay, I don't see any additional questions coming in. If you guys could just click to the next slide. Okay, so for those of you who have joined the webcast, if you do have any questions around the solution, feel free to reach out to us at these phone numbers and email address. if you'd like to discuss any student recruitment or Salesforce needs. And this does conclude our webcast for today. And as a reminder, both the slides and recording will be available on our website, so stay tuned for an email from us today or tomorrow with those. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Stéphane. Appreciate you spending the time with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dina.